Hi, my name is Kathy Berardi, and today I'm joined by Mark Flickinger, the Chief Operating Officer of BIP Capital. Mark, thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Kathy.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about this very important return to office plan and survey that BIP Capital has been working on, which is a very timely topic as many organizations anticipate and consider how to move forward as they anticipate their teams returning to the office. Could you share with me why was it important for your team at BIP Capital to create this plan for your own portfolio companies and the larger business community?
Sure. I think it's important for us as we sort of manage risk and look at what's going on with our own company. And as we looked around, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, if not large businesses, were struggling with the same thing. I think there's a lot of advice on what to consider, and that's important and timely and needs to be considered. But no one really was putting a plan together that allowed you to say, okay, here's how to do it. Here's how to execute it. Here's how to bring your employees back in a way that mitigates risk to the best of your ability, but allows people to be in the office, be able to get back to some day-to-day routines. And once we did that for BIP Capital in our portfolio of nearly 30 companies, we realized that this is a tool that really anyone could borrow from, if not use it directly. And I just wanted to share it with everyone to help everyone go through this unprecedented time.
I know for our team and many of the other companies that I speak with, a lot of people are just kind of battling what to do or how to, as you said, mitigate risk or even assess it. So I think that the return to work plan is phenomenal for companies to reference. And then also sort of taking a pulse of what people are experiencing or what team members are thinking also seems very timely. Could you speak a bit about the survey that you're conducting on an ongoing basis and some of the initial results that you found?
Sure. As Kathy mentioned, we have a public questionnaire that allows us to sort of assess risk in aggregate. And I think that's really important. People view risk differently. And what I may feel is a risky activity or action is someone else may not feel the same way. And if you think of all the different people you interact with on a daily basis, less now than it used to be. But that interaction is sort of the way that this pandemic spreads. And so we wanted to sort of look not only at our own employees, but at the public at large to see where their sort of risk tolerance was and how we could put it together, which is why we did the questionnaire. And I think that's kind of how it aligns. There's, call it 50-50, where some people feel that the best path forward for them is to really continue to strictly social distance, to somewhat shelter in place. Other people feel like it's time to get moving and get going, and so they're going to take more sort of open behaviors where they're willing to dine in a restaurant, get on an airplane, travel. And so, keeping all those things in mind as you open up your office lets you know sort of you're not just exposing yourself to the employees that you look back in the office, but all their activities and exposures that they do. So I think early findings for us that were interesting is, we're heading into the summertime. Roughly 50% of people plan on going on some type of a trip, but only 30% of people plan on using an airplane to do it. 80% of people are going into a grocery store today, 20% are not. And I think a lot of that will continue, but we're starting to see a lot of people open up their homes to extended family, select groups of friends. And, I think just a couple of weeks ago, if not a month ago, we didn't see that. We didn't see people that were willing to do that just because the sheltering in place was much stricter then than it is now.
Wonderful. And I know for myself personally and my colleagues that just trying to keep up based on where we're located across the country in different places and specifically in Georgia as well, the challenges and guidelines for navigating COVID, either from personal comfort level with mitigating different risks to actual government or local authority regulations based on health codes and health standards, they seem to be constantly changing. And then we could even anticipate further changes depending on like second wave and things of that nature. What is your advice to companies as they navigate these uncharted waters to sort of make possible plans, but yet be sort of ever checking? How do you recommend sort of navigating these uncharted, ever changing circumstances?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think with your return to office plan, you really need to bake in the flexibility to, as we learn more, to be able to update and adapt. This is a new virus that we're learning more about on a daily basis. And, the guidance that comes out of the CDC and the World Health Organization, federal government continues to change on a week to week basis. And therefore, I think you need the flexibility in your return to office plan to incorporate those changes. Our plan that we have up on our website has sort of a three-phased approach. The delineation from phase to phase allows for some flexibility based on whether there's a second wave or if things move faster than expected or slower than expected. And I think anyone who's putting a return to office plan in place has to consider that whatever they start with may not be this linear path. You may not go from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. You may kind of take a step forward and take a step backward based on what's going on in a macro environment. And to really bake that flexibility in and then communicate often with your employees that that's going to be the case.
Great advice, especially the flexibility factor. As you have spoken with your own portfolio companies and your own teams, as teams work remote where possible to do so, what are some of the pitfalls or even opportunities you've seen for how teams are working together and evolving to collaborate in this new environment? Do you have any advice to companies on how to overcome them or leverage any opportunities that have resulted?
Sure. We're fortunate with what we do as a venture capitalist. We're able to do our work pretty much similarly to the way we've done it in the past remotely. Not every company has that luxury. And so I think, the return to office plan that we put together may not work for everyone, and maybe only pieces and parts do. So I think it's important for people to just recognize your work may not be a direct parallel to what we do. But we've been fortunate. We're able to continue to move forward and working remotely with, the support of some technology as everyone is using, whether it's Zoom or Microsoft Teams or email, phone communication. All of that allows for work to go on really well. I think some of the pitfalls are you have to more overtly communicate with each other. Conversations that anything from connecting on a personal level about what's going on with the family, or just things that would get transferred of knowledge in the hallway or around the water cooler or the coffee machine are not happening as well. And so we've really continued to instruct our team to more overtly share information and even set up lines of communication company-wide where people can see, exciting news, whether you win a new client or, you move forward on some product initiative, things that the whole company really should be a part of and celebrate in. You need to more overtly make sure that those happen and almost script them or set them up in a framework to make sure that it gets done rather than just expecting it to happen kind of just through the hallways of your office.
Great advice, especially the team engagement element. Well, just in wrapping up, what is one key lesson learned or piece of advice from having worked on this very extensive and in-depth return to office plan that you'd impart to listeners today? If there's just one high level or general rule of thumb or anything specific that you wish to highlight?
Yeah, I think there's no silver bullet here. There's the way that people, because of the way that the virus spreads and because of the environments that we're in, I think flexibility is the key. And, how I view risk, how someone else views risk, I've mentioned it already, but, you're going to bring a bunch of people back to your office in whatever way, shape, or form you do that. And that's not equal. I think the way that I would behave is not right or wrong relative to the way someone else would behave. And so I think you really have to think about this in the totality of different approaches that people would have and how they're sort of handling this unprecedented and challenging times. And then try and build a return to office plan that allows you the flexibility to adapt through all those different ways, at the same time mitigating any risk that you can.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time today, Mark. And where would you direct anyone who wishes to take or share the survey? How long will you be running it, and how long will it be updated weekly? Or could you share a bit about how people can participate in the survey?
Sure. Yeah, it's on our website. So bipcapital.com. You'll see a link to the questionnaire along the top of the webpage when you land on our homepage. The questionnaire takes 6 to 7 minutes to complete. It's relatively quick, and the results are posted just below it. We'll continue to update at most frequently once a week, but at least twice a month as we have additional respondents to the questionnaire. And our return to office plan is posted there as well if people want to use it as a framework as they're struggling with how to bring employees back to their own office.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time today. Stay healthy, and we'll look forward to continuing to follow these updates.
Thanks, Kathy. I appreciate it. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.